everyone. This is Darshan Kaur, your Parikrama podcast host, and I am back again with yet another interesting podcast. My guest today is a well known business leader as well as community leader of the Indian American community in Atlanta. He is no other than Ani Agnihotri, as I'm sure you all know him or have heard about him. Ani is the co founder and CEO of Marshall Automation America, Managing Partner, USA International Business and Research Center, USIBRC, President and co-founder, Third Millennium Technologies, Founder and Program Chair, USA India Business Summit, UIBS, Vice Chair, District Export Council, Georgia. And besides that, Ani has received several awards from different states in India for his contribution towards promoting US-India business. And if that wasn't enough, Ani also holds various positions in several nonprofit organizations. And I'm sure you must have seen him at Festival of India because he's very, very heavily involved with IACA. So welcome to the studio, Ani. And sure. So Ani, I'm going to get into the questions right away. And if you will allow me to be a little cheeky, my first question is somewhat, I would say, a little cheeky. So do I have your permission?
Sure, please.
Okay. So as we just talked about in the intro, you have so many companies, and then besides that, you've been very actively involved in the community. So first of all, how do you do that? And secondly, why? Just why do you do that?
Right. Well, actually, this is not a cheeky question, Darshan. It's a very pertinent question. I'm asked several times. And how do I do it? I don't know. I just stay focused on the task on hand. Usually with time, you get into an execution mode, which you are comfortable with, and you just execute. We have very good teams, on different projects, different companies, different organizations. And why is also related with my upbringing and my childhood. Right from the beginning, my childhood was in Bhilai and Delhi, and my family was always outgoing, very social, and from there I picked it up. And then I used to play table tennis in India, so I started traveling very early in life. When I was in 6th, 7th grade, I used to travel by myself. So, socializing was an essential part of my life right from the beginning. So that's why I do it. I really like doing things, helping people and organizations.
Oh, that's true. And it's not just you, your wife, Kiran, she is the same way. I have had the pleasure of meeting both of you at various social events in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so my next question is about the USA India Business Summit. So can you briefly tell us about the USA India Business Summit? What are the objectives for this summit?
Right. So Darshan, I'll take a step back. Before coming to USA India Business Summit, I would like to also share with you an audience that I started Georgia Indo-American Chamber of Commerce in Atlanta in 2000. And as a founding president of that organization, there were a lot of things which we wanted to do to help our American friends, companies, and organizations to actually do things in India. And we had limitations in a small nonprofit organization, so we wanted to go to a bigger forum. So in 2010, we started that. And before that, we did some small conferences and seminars. So it was started in 2010, and our main objective is to create a platform for organizations and companies and individuals to connect with each other, new ideas, and bring it here to Georgia or to South USA, and also to take it to India.
Nice. So you've been organizing this since 2010, as you said, and like you mentioned, you were also the founding president of GIACC. So in the last, I believe that was what, 2000, year 2000. Right. So in the last 20 plus years, what dynamics have you seen changing between USA and India when it comes to business?
Right. So, of course, in last 20 years, India has grown leaps and bounds, in terms of technology, in terms of professionals, in terms of education, and international experience of Indian officials and executives has really gone up. It has become world class. Earlier, when we used to visit, take delegations, we were always, people didn't know much about USA. But now, they are very current. If you're sitting in Bombay or Bangalore or Goa or Madras, everybody knows what's happening in US. And so we are basically filling up a gap, which is in mostly on the US side nowadays. In India, they're pretty aware, very current about things.
So you mentioned the gap. I was just listening in. What about you said that informing people about US in India, right? But now you said they're pretty current with stuff. What about people here? Because I mean, I'll tell you from my own personal experience. I came here in '98 and I was working for a really big Fortune 500 company, and somebody one of my colleagues actually asked me, how do you guys commute in India? Do you commute on elephants? And I laughed and I said, yes, I used to ride an elephant all the time. And that was back in '98. Of course, things have come a long way. So what about that? Do you still experience that gap in information on the US side?
On the US side, business community is more or less quite current, in terms of they know India's prowess in technologies, especially in IT technologies. And nowadays, anything to do with computer science or, market research, BPO, higher education, medical, we have a lot of doctors and professors and engineers here who are from India, basically like you and I. So, they know that India, and of course, India has become in last 20 years a very strong economy. In terms of purchasing power parity, we are number 3 in the world. In terms of real dollar value, we may be about in 5th or 6th position. So we are growing very fast, and all these things help.
No, that's good to know. And we have come a long way in the last 20 plus years, since I came here at least.
Right.
And you came here way before me, I'm sure. What about, I heard a little bird told me about a new organization that is coming into being, and it's called the Global USA Business Forum.
Right.
So please tell us about it. What is it all about? We're all excited to hear about this new organization.
Sure. So Darshan, Global USA Business Forum is an organization which has been recently formed, and we have been working in the US-India, channels, and there were at times, companies executives would tell us that they don't have a business in India, but they are very interested in the content which we are producing in terms of our forums and conferences and seminars. So we thought, okay, we will sort of take, it's a bigger format of UIBS. And fortunately, in that way, we are doing most of the events virtually nowadays. So we can go to anywhere in the world, we have had some interest in Canada also, and we have partnered with Connex, which is American Israel Business Connector, and by virtue of my relationship with Georgia Tech and Dr. McIntyre, we have a very strong relationship with Europe, and we're going to be looking at Southeast Asia also.
That's perfect, because during the pandemic, what we all have realized, I guess, is that this is a global village, right? I mean, everybody can get connected. We thought working remotely would not be possible, and now even people are having kitty parties, I hear, on Zoom. So all across the world, they're playing bingo, right? So no, that's pretty cool. It's a really really interesting initiative. And is there any like how do you are you just starting this out, or are there any events that are planned? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Right. So we have started to launch Global USA Business Forum along with the 12th USA India Business Summit and 27th Georgia Tech Global Business Forum. The events will be conjoined, and we will be separating some sessions in terms of technology and focus to different areas. So, for example, the technology areas like cybersecurity and privacy, etc., we are going to do under Georgia Tech Global Business Forum. Something which is more related to USA and India would be on UIBS, and something which is global in terms of interest as a business forum.
Okay. So that sounds pretty cool. I mean, looks like you have a lot of different interesting sessions planned for this summit. When is this summit?
It's going to be on November 17th and 18th, and it is going to be held virtually, like we are talking now.
And can you also give information on how does one go about registering for this?
Right. Yeah, so our registration is through multiple channels. Georgia Tech takes care of all the students and folks who are coming through their publicity. We do through UIBS channels, and our partner channels like Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce and Connex, etc. They use their own channels, and in the end, we pool it together.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. So I'm hoping that all this information will be useful to our viewers who may be interested in joining this event. So I'm going to change gears for a bit and go towards the topic that most people do not like to talk about, and that's politics. But it's not really politics, because since you are my guest and you have such wide experience over so many years, and you worked with different administrations, both at the state level and at the US level. So my question is, in your view, and I'm only asking for your opinion. We're not going to we're not discussing politics here. So in your personal opinion, was President Trump more favorable to the Indian business climate, or is President Biden more favorable? Or to generalize it, are Republican presidents or administrations more favorable towards Indian businesses, or is it the other way around?
Right. Okay. So now this is a trick question, right?
I told you I'm going to trick you.
Okay. So in my opinion, President Trump had a very good personal rapport with Prime Minister Modi, and which was pretty evident from Howdy Modi, which was held in Houston. And then we had, visit by President Trump in 2020, last year in February. Actually, I was in Ahmedabad a week before, or maybe 3-4 days before, in 2020, when he was going to go and address in a huge stadium. We were not allowed to go because of the security reasons. We could see it from outside. Massive arrangements were done. So, during President Trump's time, things were very warm, and, in certain areas, progress was made very, very fast. President Biden, of course, is, a very old friend of India. He was around, he was vice president twice before. And then in his administration, now we have a vice president who has roots from India. So, it's a different level of comfort. And geopolitically speaking, as you know, that Prime Minister Modi is going to be in US next week. And they are going to have a lot of talks, and I believe there is a side meeting between Mr. Modi and Mr. Biden on the lines of Quad. And the Afghanistan situation, India is considered to be a pacifier in that region. India's presence is very important, and that will bring the relationship between US and India to a different level, for all the good reasons,
Right. And I think for me, and it's heartening to hear, because I think when we've been hearing about what's happening in Afghanistan, and India had a lot of investment into
Right.
Afghanistan, right? A lot of infrastructure and all that. So it was kind of like, being of Indian origin, it was rather kind of almost like frightening to watch what was going on there. So I'm really hoping that this discussion, as you mentioned, between the two leaders will help to you know maybe put people at ease. I'm
Yeah.
hoping for that. So that's really good that you share the same viewpoint as well. So Ani, like I mentioned right at the beginning of the podcast, that you do so much, not just in the on the business side and towards US India
Right.
business relationships, but that you're also a community leader. You do a lot of volunteering work for the Indian community here. So you are a role model, I'm sure, for many young community leaders and entrepreneurs. So, what is your message to this new generation of Indian community leaders, as well as people who are starting out or as entrepreneurs in business?
Right. So, I'm assuming that you are referencing this to second generation of, Indian Americans, who have been here, and their parents have been here, Uh, so my first suggestion would be is that they should definitely stay connected with their country, in one form or shape. Apart from Bollywood films, they should they should take serious interest or some interest about their, parents' motherland. And generally, I've seen that it is there, whether it's eating habits or, their dressing, or friendship circles, and they are in a unique position because most of them have been provided a very good start. They have become either they were born here, so they became citizens, or right away and by birth, or over a period of time their parents have worked and now they're citizens. So and they are in a way lucky to get a very good start. Most of us who came in the first generation spend a whole lifetime to reach to the point where the second generation is. So that's a tremendous advantage for them. And they come from a very culturally rich country with a phenomenal history. They need to travel to India. They need to get educated there. They need to get work there, help more and more American students to go to India. And there are things which we have to do. Every year we get about 100,000 Indian students to US, but guess how many US students go to India? That number is less than 2,000. So that's an area where we need to really help. And this is where, like, our Israeli friends have done a phenomenal job in this regard.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I think I saw a tweet today by the US Embassy in India, and they said they had processed about 50 or 55,000 visas
Right.
from even during the pandemic for students. So I remember seeing that tweet today. So you're right. I mean, the number is very lopsided number. But no, this is great advice, and so another question is, would you be willing to mentor some people who would might be interested in learning from you, since you have so much experience?
Sure, absolutely. That's an area which is very close to my heart. I have, most of my friends are younger than I am. Okay, let's say it that way. And I'm involved in half a dozen organizations. Okay, and you meet with folks who are generally interested to network or learn something, and I'm happy to spend some time. I spend a lot of time on solving issues, day-to-day issues and visa problems of folks, who know me or they can reach me. Sometimes I get call out of blue, totally out of blue. I don't know the person. They've read my name. They got my access to my email and phone, and they just call and they need some help, and we have to do that.
So, Ani, I do remember that when I was new in US and to Atlanta, that I was also, I think I met you guys somewhere at some event, and and somebody else may have shared your number as well. And I was told you were one of the go-to people in case I had any problems. So I know that you've had that reputation for. I've been in US 23 years, so I know you've had that reputation for quite a while. So that's really good, and thank you for what you do, because I think it's very important that our community leaders are make themselves available to people, not just people who come here. Now there's a lot more facilities, there's a lot more things available, a lot more facilities. We have a consulate right there in Atlanta. I remember back in the day, it used to be so hard, and you didn't know anyone, you didn't know what to do. You lost your passport, you didn't know where to go, right? I mean, it was really hard for when I first moved to the US. But I think it's really important, and I'm really grateful for people like you who do what you do, that you make yourself available to people, you guide people in the right direction. And even if it's like making a few phone calls, you have a lot of contacts, people, or you're able to just share the information and say, hey, go to this website or go talk to this person, right? So that really helps. So any words, any message you would like to share with the community before we end this podcast?
Yeah, so I really admire what you and Atlanta Dunia has done in Parikrama, and by bringing I've seen a few of your episodes. I know it's very challenging, to bring something like this, and I admire journalism and journalistic work which you and Kailash have been doing, and I wish you all the best, and let's hope to keep staying in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Ani, I know you're a very, very busy person, as we heard from your intro in the beginning. So thank you so much for your time, for coming here today, for sharing your thoughts and your views with our viewers. And I hope that everyone watching really enjoyed this podcast, and that even more importantly, you learned something from it. So if you wish to attend the event, the UIBS, as well as the Global USA Business Forum, you have all the information that was provided in the podcast. You can also reach out to Ani or just message us in the comments, and we will get you in touch with Ani, or we will get you the information. So with that, I will take your leave. And thank you once again, Ani. Thank you to our audience for watching this podcast. I'll be back again soon with yet another fun and interesting podcast. Tab tak ke liye, namaskar.
Thank you.